Today we're talking to Richard Bayfield. Richard is an independent consultant who works client-side on projects. He's also the holder of 3 British Construction Industry Awards, 2 for major projects, 1 for minor, starting in 2002 with the Honda programme and then most recently with the Sainsbury Welcome UCL project. Now the one strand that goes through all of the work that Richard does is a real drive for collaboration and collaborative working. So that's what we want to talk to him today about. So the strand that runs through all of your work is the drive for collaboration. So can you tell me, for a start, what do you think collaboration looks like?
Thank you, Ed. That's a good question. I guess collaborative working looks to me like a project team that's cohesive. That means that there might be many different organisations and people from different companies involved, but they're focusing on the project, so you won't be able to distinguish between an individual from one organisation and another. So that would be their behaviours. It'd be a focused team. It'd be a team where information is shared freely, where issues, conflicts are aired in a positive way early rather than late. In all situations in life we have conflict, we have issues, therefore not hiding issues is a key part of collaborative working. Sharing an open culture needs to be established by the client, and I think those are probably the keys. The client needs to lead in setting the tone.
So if this collaborative relationship is achieved, what are the benefits that brings to the project, and not just from the client point of view, but also from the other project members' point of view?
Well, I guess if I look at the Honda story, they began building a new factory in Swindon back in the late 1980s, so I'm showing my age here. I joined them in the mid-90s. Their first experience of the British construction industry wasn't good. It was the traditional conflict scenario. The first factory took about 3 to 4 years to resolve the final account, several claims and so on. Because of their experience in automation and using collaborative procurement and methods, they decided to apply these same methods to the construction of their second factory, which won an award, as you mentioned earlier. That project, when we benchmarked it, was actually 40% better value than the first factory. At that time, Michael Latham had suggested that the British construction industry could save 30%. Well, Honda bettered that. It made business sense. It was possible. It was about putting effort not into protecting one's backside, but behaving proactively, positively. And the client had to do its bit. It had to set the culture. It had to have contracts that were fair, that were transparent, not trying to load all the risk onto the lowest member of the supply chain, but actually Honda took risk as a client at the right time, and it paid off handsomely.
So importantly in there, all of the benefit doesn't just sit with the client, there is benefit for all of the team members who are involved in the delivery of that project. Yes,
I would say so. One, there's the positive factor of working on a project where it's results driven and results are achieved. And if one's on a project where there are disputes, morale goes down, inevitably there's pain, there's conflict amongst the individuals, but also within the companies. And actually a benefit of delivery on time and on budget is that everyone goes away, all the supply chain, the consultants, contractors, to the next project with some profit and with enthusiasm to do more work. There's nothing worse than spending 3 years on a final account, arguing for arbitrators in the courts, wherever.
So by the sounds of it, this is something we want. So give us the 3 Richard tips for what we need to ensure is embedded to create a successful collaborative environment.
I guess the key aspects to me are probably the words of communication. There has to be good communication, the majority of it face-to-face, but face-to-face in this day and age can be Skype, it can be FaceTime, but I would reduce the amount of written communication as much as possible, the emails, the long minutes, they rarely add value. Honda couldn't see any added value in those aspects. I think it's having a culture. The client must set that tone where there can be some open up communication. It might be having to have a difficult communication with the client that actually what you're doing is going to cost more money. But actually having an early warning on that is key. And I think early warning is perhaps the most important thing, because all problems start small, and the ones that eventually end up in the courts and in front of the dispute business, adjudicators, arbitrators and so on, all started small. And I think a client can use early warning methods, both cultural and technical, to flush as many issues out as early as possible, at which time those issues remain small.
So leadership, communication and early warning, and then you have the culture to really embed this commercially effective way of delivering a construction project.
Yes, I think that's collaboration in a nutshell. Thank you for your summary.
Thank you very much for your time, Richard.
Thank you.